Super. So thank you everyone for joining our webinar. My name is Chidera Amuta. I am the marketing manager at Vendercredit. Just on a lighter note, I made a note here to congratulate the Trump supporters. We hope that nobody has to go to court for any reason. And we are also hopeful that this Trump administration would favor us and our families and our supply chain. That was just in a lighter note, but welcome everyone again to our very first Vendercredit and Konga webinar. We believe that there'll be subsequent ones, but this one is very unique because it has taken a sort of give back structure, because we look at the climbs, we look at what is going on, and we know that everybody is feeling the pain, and so we talking about how you can boost growth on an e-commerce platform. This period is, not just very timely, but it's a topical discussion. And so we have experts here to answer all your questions, all the questions that you shared ahead. And they plan to, share never before shared tips, if I can say that you can leverage. Black Friday is coming. A lot is going on this period. So we know that the tips that they're going to share, aside from answering all your questions, would help your business stand out, this period on any e-commerce platform. But before we kick off, it's important that I say this. We would be recording the call. I know that you probably would have seen that we're recording already. But we want to crave your indulgence to allow it to run without interruptions for the sake of those of us that would want to rewatch it, rewatch the recording, as well as you on the call that probably want to make references to this session later. And if you notice you're unable to turn on your cameras or your mics to speak, this is very intentional. And that's why we ask that questions be shared. But if you have further questions, please share in the Q&A. There is a Q&A emoji there that you can use, or you can send us the questions directly at hello@vendercredit.ng, or if it will be easier for you, follow us on all our social platforms at Vendercredit, and you can leave comments, send direct messages. We'll be happy to respond to you on time. So let me not waste your time anymore. I'll be handing you over to our experts. My colleague, Cynthia Eziani, our Senior Growth Executive at Vendercredit, and Onochie Melvin, the Head of E-Commerce and Operations at Konga. So I'll keep quiet now. Take it away, guys. Over to you. Thank you.
So Onochie is the Manager of Operations, right? E-commerce operations at Konga, and we're having a conversation on how to boost growth on e-commerce platforms. I can't see the attendees now, but I know we have merchants and also possible people that are looking at signing up on e-commerce platforms. So these conversations will be helpful for different categories of people on the call. So going straight into it, Onochie, right? So what at the moment, we know that, 2024 has been a very interesting year. It has affected, all sectors in the economy, whether you're in e-commerce, manufacturing, everyone has felt the impact of it, whether as a business owner, you're a merchant on the platform, it's everywhere. So for the e-commerce space, right, for 2024, right, speaking generally, what are some of the peculiarities and some of the challenges, peculiarities that all e-commerce platforms that had to face in 2024, and also what are some of the growth initiatives that e-commerce platform has had to incorporate into their businesses to ensure that despite the tough climate, that businesses still need?
Cynthia, thank you. So I think I'll typically just say, right, in terms of challenges that we faced, I think our challenges in e-commerce aren't really far from what the general economy is experiencing, right? Since last year, more typically, inflation has been one that's been very tough as regards in terms of consumers are getting, right. So for us on the platforms, we see that our average order values are going up, but they're not really going up because we're typically selling more products of higher value. It's basically just what inflation actually has done to us as a country, right? So what's really happened is that we find out that consumers are finding it very difficult to purchase products within this time. So that crunch that affects consumer spending power is something that's affected us in e-commerce, and it's a two-sided coin, the way we typically say it, because on one hand, to some certain people, patronizing e-commerce platforms is like a luxury, whereas for some, patronizing e-commerce platform is a necessity. So you're sure you're actually getting the best possible deal at any point in time. So like I said, two-sided coin. For some customers, it's even more important for them now to come online, come to a platform like Konga where you have access to different vendors selling the same product. You have the confidence that Konga gives you, but you can also compare prices within the same platform, and you can ensure you're going to be able to get value for your money, right? So that's on one end. It gives customers that aspect. At the same time, because purchasing power has reduced, and it's also a barrier for some customers to come online. So I think that inflation has really been one that's really affected us within the industry. But another aspect that's affected us really is what's been happening with prices of fuel. Typically, you would hear people say e-commerce is logistics and logistics is e-commerce, because at the end of the day, we have a very fancy platform with a lot of technology that goes on behind the scenes. But the most important aspect of it is getting the item to the customer who's ordered for the comfort of their homes. So that's where logistics comes into play. So what's happened with prices of fuel have been very difficult for us to handle within the industry over the year, because we had taken it upon ourselves really to subsidize cost of shipping online. But as the price of oil keeps on surging higher and higher, it becomes more difficult for us to be able to keep those costs at bay to ensure the customer can still get full value. So I'd say, in a nutshell, inflation has been one. Average order values have gone up more because of inflation, not really because more value is coming onto the platform, right? So consumers' purchasing power has been seriously affected. So I think that's affected e-commerce as a whole. Another aspect to look at it from is a huge chunk of what we do at Konga is that we expose all our merchants. We're able to expose those products to different customers across. And how do we get that publicity? We're using platforms like Google Ads, we're using Meta, we're using Criteo, we're using different ad platforms to be able to channel and expose our merchants to more customers. And a lot of all those platforms charge for the advertising in USD dollars today. So you pay for your Google Ads, everything is benchmarked against the dollar. You're paying Meta, even as much as you're paying some of these platforms today in Naira. The exposure you would have gotten by spending 50 million Naira in a month at the same time last year, you basically get maybe 30% of same exposure that you get today. So we all have to keep on continually increasing our budget. So in that way, the reach which marketplaces like ours can get across has really been affected in relation to what's happening in the economy. So I think those are the three major areas where we have the challenges, inflation, consumer power, cost of fuel for our logistics, and also advertising in terms of the reach that we can actually bring to our merchants. So I think those are the major areas where, as an e-commerce company, been affected by the crunch that's happening in the economy today.
All right. Thank you for that insight, Onochie. And during the course of the conversation, I also, took note of the fact that you mentioned that, despite all of, these happenings within the sector, right, for, your platform, Konga, you guys still try to, find a way to still, subsidize some of these things, right, as, to the best of your ability, so that the heat of it, doesn't come fully on your merchant, which I know in this particular terrain that we're in, especially in 2024, is a lot, honestly. But kudos to the Konga team for still trying to look out for their merchant, and still find a way, to incorporate everyone. So so like, it doesn't look like we're just talking about just the negative. So in terms of projections for the e-commerce growth, especially here in Nigeria, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, we know that e-commerce is here to stay and it is continually going to evolve and grow. So can you just share a bit more insight on, what the projected growth, just something that.
So, I mean, in terms of growth, it's been projected that e-commerce as a business in Nigeria is going to get to a point where it's supposed to be a 3 trillion naira business. But I think we've had some slowdown, right, from last year with what's happened in the economy, essentially. But it is one business that we would always say is future-proof, because any which way we see it, everybody has to transition online. I think one of the most important things COVID taught us and showed everyone really is that this is one business that isn't just in terms of making profit, it's also a public service, because at that point in time, how essential e-commerce platforms were actually came more to the forefront. So moving forward, what we see happening is that we are finding that a lot of manufacturers, a lot of distributors that provide value in the economy are looking more towards getting to a more direct consumer model. So gone are the days where brands were looking to introduce new products through third-party distributors. Those distributors now need to go and onboard a lot of retailers into the market. But right now, we see more brands reaching out to us. They want to come and list new products directly on the platform. So it's a direct way to get to the consumer by passing a lot of red tape, and also being able to get to the consumer at the best price points. Because with all the different middlemen that come on within the supply chain, it's a different layer for each value that's added to that layer of supply chain. You have an additional cost that's added for it. So we see more suppliers, we see more manufacturers, more OEMs wanting to bypass those aspects of the business and go direct to the consumer. So I think that's one very big one that we're going to see that's going to keep happening for e-commerce. And I mean, there's been a huge boom in terms of what social commerce has given in terms of growing businesses. But what we still see is, for social commerce, the aspect of trust is still one barrier which they have in trying to scale. Whereas e-commerce platforms like we are Konga sort of eliminates that, because with Konga acting as a middleman between the merchants and the final consumer, the consumers are safe typically. So we are seeing more businesses that have gained some traction within their social commerce spaces. We see more of them coming to come and list on board on the platform, right? Because we are able to offer our service of POD, pay on delivery today, right? So you would see a typical scenario, right? Somebody engages a vendor on Instagram, and the vendor on Instagram, because of fear of releasing those products to the customer pay on delivery, very difficult for them. But those vendors who are also listed on the platform as Konga could simply just direct same customer, go online to konga.com, purchase from my store on Konga, you get it delivered, you can pay. So we protect the vendor in the sense that it's our responsibility to safeguard their products, ensure it gets to the customer, and even if it does have to be returned, we'll get it back in good condition to the vendor. And same way, we also protect the customer. So in that regard, we are seeing that a lot of people who have good strengths in social commerce are still coming on board within the e-commerce space. So when you add the fact that more brands are willing to come direct to consumer, and you have more people who are already doing well within the social commerce space are still coming back to platforms, e-commerce platforms that we have on Konga. The potential for growth is one which we see will continue to expand. And it's also in how we are growing now is we are not only just releasing products that are typical physical products which we sell today. We're also onboarding different services to what we offer, to the different values that we bring. So it's not just your physical products. We have partnerships with Microsoft today where we can ship licenses directly to customers. We have same with Kaspersky for the antiviral services. So as we continue to evolve, the services that we can provide as e-commerce platforms will continue to grow. As innovation continues, we'll continue to multiply that, and we would keep bringing more people on board. And if I take Nigeria for an instance, we have 200 people, 200 million people in Nigeria, as we are told, right? But there's about 30 million of them are the serviceable markets that we have today. So as we continue stretching our boundaries to more of these underserved areas by opening more pickup shops, ensuring we can deliver to last mile, creating that infrastructure. With the more people we reach, the more people are going to be more comfortable to order. We see other values and other volumes growing as it goes year on year. So, I mean, it's one business that is future-proof. And as we continue to add more capabilities into the values that we deliver and bringing more merchants online, the potential for e-commerce, it's really, I mean, I would say for Nigeria, we are barely at 20% of what the market addresses today. So it's really, it's really one which, if any business owner hasn't yet thought about coming online, I mean, it's really a no-brainer at this point in time.
Thank you for that insight. I mean, we would always say that we did here, right? And I mean, of course, we would see that, I mean, over the years, especially to come, right, with all the innovations that you've talked about, and also, trying to be more inclusive, right? And, expanding, the reach even to the underserved areas, right? I mean, I'm very certain that we'll see more growth on that end. So diving straight into, I mean, some of the questions that we had received from, some merchants, right? I'll just go straight into it. Okay, so first things, so some of the merchants, right, would like to know what are the key features or steps to succeed on the Konga platform or e-commerce platforms in general. So what do they need to do? What are those steps? What are those features, on e-commerce platforms that they can take advantage of to succeed as a merchant?
So I'd say as a merchant, first things first is you have to be authentic in terms of what you post, right? So when you're creating your product listing has to be authentic and original in terms of how you describe your products. So for instance, we've noticed that with the crunch that is happening right now, a lot of consumers are looking more to pre-loved items, refurbished items, renewed items as they're called, right? So customers know most times when they are buying a product that's being used before. But as a merchant, you have to be honest about it. If you're posting an item that has been used, state it clearly. There's a segment of customer that wants that item. So you have to be genuine. So what you post should be exactly what you deliver. Do not try and overhype or over describe a product where you now start listing features that are not true, because customers take care to the stores that they interact with online. Your ratings as a store owner on an e-commerce platform are very important to the amount of traction and the follow-up business that you get. So when customers get the products that you've shipped out from your store, if there are discrepancies in what had been listed and what has eventually been supplied, those negative comments affect the performance of your store. So I think that's one. You must be very clear with what you are posting for consumers to buy. Second one is the case of pricing, right? So people would typically always say because it's e-commerce, it has to be cheap. But I think that's a very wrong mentality, which we are trying to change. There's a sweet spot in pricing that merchants needs to know, right? If it's too cheap, people will begin to doubt the quality and the authenticity of the product they are putting out there. If it's too expensive, then you price yourself out. So as we say, pricing is a continual process. You do not finish pricing in one day. You have to be consistently looking at reviews, looking at different products from competitors to price your products properly. You need to have that point where products are believable, to ensure that what the customer is getting is in proper value and that you do not overprice yourselves. So it's not just about giving very low prices. There's a practice where some merchants would give a price, an order is placed on their store. When it's time to ship out, they now try and reach out to the customer and say, oh, sorry, price of that particular item has gone up. You need to pay an extra. Things like that give a sour taste to the customer. right? And things like that block you up. Next is understand your niche. So there are some merchants who typically, because they come on board on the platform, they just post every and all kind of product within the same store. So when a customer comes into your store environment, same person is selling computers, same person is selling bags, same person is selling shoes. You know, you tend to give customers some form of confusion, like how is this person really selling all these different things? Are you sure it's genuine? What's the person's focus really? Am I really getting the best deal from this particular store? Right. So it's good to have a niche on your store so customers know this is what this person is known for. So it's easy for them to also now recommend, oh, go to this platform, check this store. They are very good. They handle shoes. Shoes is what they do, and they do shoes very well. So it's very important to understand your niche. Second, another aspect would then be customer support, right? As products are being sold on your platform, it is possible that it might be manufacturer's defect, it might not be something that's happened from the merchants themselves, right? But the customer relations in trying to help customers understand what has caused the problems in cases where there's a warranty for a product, how you as a merchant are able to give that service to the customer, very important. So stores that typically, if you're called up, there's a particular problem with the product, and it's very easy to handle the process of returns. There doesn't really need to be too many calls between you and the customers back and forth. It helps because those customers now get more comfort in the fact that they could purchase an item without seeing you. They experience a challenge with that item, and you're able to give them support for the item they have purchased, either via a replacement, helping them go to a support center, ensure the item is fixed as it should be based on the terms of warranty. Those customers are more comfortable to come back to your store. They are more comfortable to refer you to other people. Oh, I bought something on Konga from this person's store, right? He's a very good merchant on Konga. He will serve you well. A typical example is there are a couple of merchants on the platform which we will see some merchants who their products might be slightly more expensive. You might see some other merchants selling products at slightly cheaper prices, but you see more people going towards a particular store to order same item. And when we actually do surveys to understand, oh, you bought this item for 200,000 naira on this store, but it's also available for 180,000 here. They'll be like, oh yes, I bought an item from this store a year ago, had an issue with it, and they resolved it for me quickly. So based on that, when they come back to the platform, they're always trying to search for those same stores because they have some comfort with it. So I think it's that combination of one is being very genuine and honest with the products that you're putting forward to sell on your store. You have to be very good with your pricing. Don't be too cheap so it doesn't look like you're selling something that is inferior. At the same time, don't be expensive so you don't price yourself out. And also, the moment a sale is concluded doesn't mean your relationship with that customer is over. The part of after sales support is critical and even more critical for our business that we do online today because trust is the major barrier which we are trying to fix with platforms like Konga. So ensuring that customers feel that they are covered even after they purchase from our e-commerce platform, it gives them, it gives them that comfort. Gives them that comfort that they are doing business with people actually. So I think those are the three major pillars that I would say would help you scale, do well on our platforms. Then I mean marketing, right? Marketing is one which is universal for any e-commerce business. So I think in Konga we do that in two steps, right? There's general marketing, which Konga would typically run on the platform that cuts across board all merchants. The merchants themselves also can use their own social media handles, right? Use WhatsApp, different communication means, just posting the link of their stores, driving more traffic to your store. Same way in times when we're doing promotions like this. So Konga Yakata is currently on. So it's our Black Friday campaign that starts this year on 1st to the last day of the month. So typically we have sessions with merchants where there are more opportunities to invest in marketing that drives more traffic directly to their stores, right? So I mean, if you add, if your marketing is good, you're very genuine about what you post, your pricing is good, and you offer support to customers. If you have those four pillars very strong, then you should be able to grow and scale your business online.
Thank you so much for that, Onochie. I mean, you covered quite a number of other questions that stem from this, right? So just moving forward, we'll also come back to the conversation around marketing, because that was, one of the questions that we got, the most from merchants, asking about, visibility and all of that. But we'll, take that question after this. So, I mean, like you mentioned, your Qatar is on, right? And usually, I mean, you see a lot of orders and merchants would have to, restock, get the products available. So let's talk about, embedded finance, financing, in general, and then embedded finance, how important it is, for merchants, especially now that your Qatar is on, and also generally in terms of their business. And just to chip in, for merchants that do not know, Vendercredit is, finalizing, this an opportunity for merchants to be able to get credits directly from the Konga platform, right? So hence why I would like Onochie to speak about, the importance of embedded finance, especially as a vendor accessing credits and how, that can boost sales on the platform.
Right. So for a platform like Konga and most marketplace platforms, right? One thing that is very key in what we do is we safeguard customers by holding the funds which they have paid in an escrow. So typically, the transaction cycle is the customer buys something from Konga.com from merchant. Konga holds that money until the point where that item is delivered. There's a 7-day return policy that we have to allow the customer, be very comfortable with their purchase. So until that 7-day return policy is elapsed before the merchant actually gets paid. So that escrow policy really is what ensures that consumers' funds are safe. So within that 7-day period, you already have a merchant who has invested funds already to go and buy an item which they've shipped. There's the timeline that goes with handling logistics. For instance, a merchant in Lagos today via our platform has access to customers that are in Zamfara, right? So there's the amount of time it takes for that item to leave a Lagos to actually get to Zamfara, get delivered to the customer, then 7 days for that escrow period. So this merchant has actually invested money in that trade, but hasn't gotten value yet. So I think that's where finance platforms or partnerships like Konga has with Vendercredit today are critical to the success of marketplaces like ours, right? So it allows the merchant be able to access funds to still carry on trade, because while that order is on its way to Zamfara, that same merchant is getting more orders that are coming on board at the same time. So he still requires funds to get more products and ensure he can ship out more orders so he doesn't miss any form of revenue. So that's where partnerships like the one we have with Vendercredit is critical, because Vendercredit enables merchants who are selling products on the platform, gives them that access to finance, right? And the good thing about it is your sales history that you have on Konga.com stands for you, right? So the process to getting these loans is not a tiresome process. In terms of know your customer requirements, long documentations and whatnot, the process is really simplified and streamlined to ensure merchants can access finance. So really, what Vendercredit had done is to ensure that commerce and trade can continue to flow, whereas we are still being able to safeguard the customers. So I think that it's a critical component of our ecosystem. So I mean, when we are also reaching out to merchants, trying to bring more merchants on board on the platform, it's one of the things which we usually preach. Being a part of the Konga community also puts you as a member of the Vendercredit community. So you're able to easily come on board and you have access to finance to ensure your business never stops trading with us. So I mean, it's a very key part. I'm sure you can speak about that for days, Cynthia. But like I said, it's a critical aspect of allowing trade to continue to flow for a platform like us. It's important. It's not something that can be overstated. So it's very important.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that insight, Onochie. And we'll be speaking more on these during the course of the conversation. So moving to the next question. So like I mentioned, quite a number of merchants wanted to know how they can make their stores more visible on on the platform, right? In terms of putting their product forward, what wanted to understand how the marketing on the platform works, and then we also had questions like, okay, how do I go about the Google ad and all of that. So I I would like you to just share a bit more insights. And we're looking at two sets of people. We're looking at people that are already on the platform and those that are looking at, coming up on the Konga platform so they can navigate this.
All right, so let me speak. I think by speaking about those who are already on the platform, it gives those who are thinking about coming online an idea of what to expect. So typically there are two types of advertising. So we have on-site advertising and off-site. So on-site advertising, it's what happens when a consumer is already on Konga.com and customer is browsing, customer is looking for certain products, right? So we have all merchants that are onboarded on the platform have access to what we call our seller HQ. So that's basically the headquarters of everything merchants on Konga. That's where merchants are onboarded. That's where they list their products. So typically, we have different subscription plans every month, and the subscription plans have assets to different forms of advertising. So for on-site advertising ensures that once you have products that have been put up for ads from your seller HQ center, anytime a consumer bumps up into that particular category. So for instance, you're a merchant that sells beauty and healthcare products, right? If your merchant sells beauty and healthcare products, you sell beauty and healthcare products, and you have a particular moisturizer that you really want to put out there, and you've subscribed for a Konga plan with ads, and your ads are up and running. At any point in time, a customer goes into the beauty and healthcare category, your products are going to be on the top base, right? So once customer gets into that page, the first thing they see, they're going to see those products that are there as sponsored products. Secondly is if a customer goes directly and searches for keywords that are related to those particular products that you put up for ads, your products are going to pop up. So customer comes up and searches for skincare, for insights. Customer searches for moisturizer, some of those keywords, your products would be able to pop up, right? So I think that's for on-site ads. So once you're on a plan that has ads and your ads are set up via your seller HQ, once any search is done on the platform, it will ensure basically that your products will typically continue to pop up, right? Secondly is the fact that when we're going offsite ads. So offsite ads is where Google, things like Google Ads now come on board, Meta, where we have Facebook, Instagram, platforms like X, formerly Twitter. So we also have an ad plan that also allows products that you've selected be queued into the feeds of Google and Facebook ads, right? So we already have that self-curated. So it's very easy for merchants. Once you're subscribed on those plans, you have access to list products that you want to flow within that aspect. Besides that, there are also aspects where merchants are able to reach out to our merchant engagement team, and it's possible for them to do some particular products. When you have some particular products that you really want to plug, you have serious value on, we encourage merchants to always reach out to those products. So we can position those products as certain parts of the website. We have things like main banners on Konga.com, box banners, and newsletters that we send out to the entire customer base. So, I mean, it's a combination of, for on-site, merchants via Seller HQ today, merchants have access to on-site ads and off-site ads. So I think those are the offers that we curate on the platform itself. Whereas merchants also now have the possibility for them to be able to now do some work on their own to send traffic to their stores, right? So listing a store on Konga.com is just one bit. As a merchant, you also have your sphere of influence, which is your family members. Your store has a unique link. You have your social media. So you should also be able to share a unique link for your store with friends, family, your WhatsApp status, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, and people retweet. So people are basically now driving more traffic to your stores. So it's really it's a combination of partnership in the sense that on Konga, via Seller HQ, they have tools to ensure ads can run on site and off site. And they also have a bit to play in trying to push out their store link as it goes across to their own sphere of influence. So I think that it's that combination that basically works really, right? So via Seller HQ, that's been embedded into Seller HQ.
Thank you so much for that insight. I believe, our merchants on the call, would implement some of this insight for some of them that we need to tweak, the form of marketing that we're doing. I believe that, would help a lot, especially now that Yakata is on, so they can take advantage of that opportunity. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. So another bucket of question that we had received was some merchant prospective merchants asking about if Konga or e-commerce platforms are looking at incorporating agro commodities on their platforms, right? What is the future for that for e-commerce platforms? Is it a diversification opportunity that is being explored? So not just only the agro-allied business owners or merchants, we also had people in construction and trying to know, okay, is there a future when it comes to the e-commerce platforms that already sells things like cosmetics, electronics? Is there are there opportunities to want to expand to bring those sectors of merchant onto the platform?
Uh, yes, I'd say it's not a sector that has been overlooked, right? So I mean, today we actually do have a few merchants, that sell some agro products, right? But I think at the moment is more limited to products that have a slightly longer lifespan. I think where we struggle with today really is being able to get logistics right, typically. So I think that's basically what we struggle with today, especially for items that are perishable, to ensure that we can transport it in the best form to ensure it gets to the final customer in a form really that is undisturbed. So I think it's just for us to get that nexus right. So I mean, we've been engaged with a few partners trying to get the logistics in place properly. So at the point where we have the logistics that is able to cater for that conveniently and priced properly, because the way our business works is at the once customer goes on the platform, selects the products and checks out, a shipping cost is typically and given which customer sees, agrees with. And after that point, we can't come back and now tell you your logistics cost is wrong. But for moving a lot of those items and the volumes which they typically move, a lot of offline sort of trading has to go on board, finding trucks that are available to move at that point in time, what's going on, how soon does the customer expect it. So, I mean, there are a few tweaks which we still have to move to ensure it works properly, but 100% is something which we are working on, and it's something which in the future we'll surely try and get once we can ensure the system and processes that will run them effectively are put in place. It's something that we're surely trying to get along.
Thank you so much for that, Onochie. Chidera, I don't know if we have any other questions on the Q&A, but while you collect that, I'll just speak on a bit more on the embedded finance, taking it up from where Onochie stopped, when he answered that. So for merchants on the call, just like Onochie had mentioned, our partnership with Konga is to ensure that you are able to have more orders, fulfill on your orders as they come, and you're not cash strapped. You have enough capital to be able to attend to the orders that come to you on the platform, so that you're maximizing the opportunities that you have on the Konga platforms and platforms in general. So we always would have every week we send out flyers on, our products, working capital, LPO, local purchase order, and invoice discounting. These products are open to our merchants on this platform, especially working capital. Details are also imputed on those flyers so that you can reach out to us and get access to capital. Now that Yakata is on, you do not have to miss out on the opportunity because you're bothered with, how do I get funding for this? I do not want to pick up orders and I'm not able to fulfill on them. That is why Vendercredit is here as your fulfillment partner to ensure that you are not missing out on any opportunity to be able to, boost your business and grow sales. So I just wanted to chip that in, and also more details will be sent to every one of us that are on the call. And also, like I mentioned earlier, there is we're taking our partnership with Konga even a bit further. We're currently finalizing the process for Konga merchants to be able to get loans directly on the Konga platform. So you don't have to reach out to us. You can just go to the platform. You'll be able to get, loans. It will redirect you to us and all of that. So it's a lot more seamless for you as a merchant to be able to get access to credit. Thank you. Chidera, I don't know if you have questions in the Q&A. I'm not sure I'm able to see that, so that we can take one or two and call it a day for today.
Okay, thank you so much, Cynthia. So some of the questions that are dropping are questions that have already been sort of addressed. So they're similar questions. So questions around how their products can reach the right audience, how they can get visibility on their products. So these are some of the things that have already been addressed on the call. Someone also asked, and I think this one is for us, how they can request a loan through Vendercredit. I mean, you were going to speak to the embedded finance opportunity coming soon, but I think you can also share what is obtainable now for them to do now, what they're able to do now. So if you can address that, then I think we can call it a session.
All right, thank you for that, Chidera. So what is obtainable now? We have an app, Vendercredits, app.vendercredits.ng. So if you're on Google Play Store, if you're using Android, you can, check on the Android Google Play Store, check for Vendercredit. You'll be able to download our app, and you can also, check on our website to be able to access loan through that portal as well. We have our portal, www.vendercredit.ng, as well. You'll be able to access loan on either the portal or the app if you're using Android for now. So once you log on to the portal or platform or app, you'll be able to, just like you had mentioned, standard KYC document, you'll be able to put up an application on the app, and we're able to take it up from there. So you can go now and download our app on Google Play Store, Vendercredit app, and then you can also go to our website, www.vendercredit.ng, or you can Google for Vendercredit on our website to be able to see the feature that allows you, apply for a loan on our platform, and then you can fill that out as well. And you can also drop your details to, and one of our customer fulfillment officers will also reach out to you if you require any form of assistance, if need be navigating the platform. Thank you. So thank you so much, Onochie, for such an insightful session. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure our merchants too have also learned a lot, and I'm sure we'll be seeing some of them incorporating some of the learnings from today to also ensure that they're able to grow their business on the Konga platform. Thank you so much for your time today. I'll be handing over to Chidera as the wrap up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Onochie. Cynthia, like you said, it was so insightful. I think, I mean, in my opinion, the tips that have been shared, and the way the questions were answered, it was done in such a timely fashion, that it is relevant now and will still be relevant in years to come. Be authentic, your pricing matters, understand your niche. Um, Customer support is important as well. Um, Marketing, right? While Konga is pushing for you, or while your e-commerce platform is pushing for you, push for yourself. And speaking of pushing for yourself, remember that vendor credit allows you to continue to keep your operations going, while you wait for your payouts, on whatever e-commerce platform that you are on, give you access to that finance. And, the process, like Onochie mentioned, is very simplified. So just ensure that your business keeps moving. Very soon, and we'll share more details about this. Very soon, Konga merchants would be able to access loans directly on the Konga Seller HQ. This is really monumental, so that you don't have to go around looking for where to get finance support from. You can just, with the click of a button, be able to request funding and credit. So you can follow us on all our social platforms to know how you can join the waitlist for when we go live on the Konga Seller HQ. You can download our app, like Cynthia shared, and you can check us out on our socials. As I said, download our app on Google Play Store, or you can access our web app. We'll drop a link on the chat, so you can just click on that, and then just have direct access. But to everyone on the call, thank you for your questions. Your questions were very brilliant. And you made this session a success. We will be uploading the recording on YouTube soonest, and we'll be sharing a direct link to everyone that registered, so you can come back and make reference to it, rewatch, relearn, and just position yourself and your business on that e-commerce platform, hopefully preferably Konga, so that you can make the most of this Yakata season, and subsequent opportunities that Konga always brings our way. We would be sharing the link on our socials, so you can follow us on there, and we'll also upload the video on there. But again, we don't want to waste your time. We know that we have stretched. Apologies for that. We look forward to hosting you. We have subsequent webinars coming up. Our goal really is to help you continue to unlock capital and propel growth for your business. But until our next webinar, cheers, everyone. Thank you for your time. Onochie, thank you so much. I know you're super busy. Thank you for making today possible. And Cynthia as well, thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone. Until we meet again. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Chidera. Thank you, Onochie. Bye, everyone.